good morning, New Orleans, and welcome to the Good Morning Show right here on WBOK, 12:30 a.m. So we made it through the weekend, and we're been blessed with yet another day and hopefully another week. This is the Good Morning Show. I am Will Sutton, and with me is Chief Eddie Compass. And why we're here?
We're here to hear you.
We want to hear you. We are fortunate enough to have this opportunity, and you're hearing our voice, but we would like to hear yours. So what's on your mind? What's on your heart? Got a question? Maybe we can give you a response, but at least we can give you an answer. WBOK 1230 AM. Talk line is 504-582-9422, 504-582-9422. Well, what a weekend. Man. What a weekend. Man, there was all kinds of stuff going on this weekend, and there was just no way I could get to even half of the things going on, but I did get out to a few things, and I know you were bouncing around town and had the opportunity to see your kids. And so how was your weekend?
It was fantastic. We had a family weekend, went to a lot of great restaurants, played Scrabble.
Ooh, I like that.
I won. Those Tulane students and graduates couldn't keep up with old dad, and my wife came in second. So we killed my kids. We killed them.
Oh boy! Did you give them a rematch?
No. I told them next fun day weekend we're gonna do it once a month. We made a commitment to do that once a month.
All right, that's great.
We'll do that once a month.
That's great. Yeah. Well, Home Fest was happening on Friday and Saturday, and man, the people who came out to Home Fest, it's been one day. It's been Friday, and Home Fest, kind of a Home Fest preview on Friday at an official celebration and opening of the park over there by the Caillou Center. But the celebration of Bayou Road and our culture continued. So there were people hanging out till like 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah. I tell you,
Friday night into Saturday.
It was busy. It was busy. It really was. I went out there for a minute. I didn't stay long because I had my kids. This weekend I was going to get them. But, I mean, it was very well attended. Very, very well done. It was great.
Great. Yep. And there was NOLA Funk Fest out there. I got out for some of that, and that was it was a kind of different flows during the day and during the weekend. So your midday, late morning, early afternoon, mid-afternoon crowd, it was kind of the thickest.
Right.
As it got into late afternoon and evening on Sunday, it wasn't as crowded, but it was very nice, and there was a wonderful breeze, and a lot of good folks. Had the opportunity to see Kermit Ruffin, Ivan. I had the opportunity to see Cyril Neville.
Okay.
I mean, it was, it was a good show. It was a good time. It was a good time over there.
Well, this weekend I worked Young Boy concert.
You did.
I worked Young Boy concert, and I tell you, for the most part, it wasn't like a survival thing. That was a lot of hyperbole, to a certain extent, because the crowd was. I mean, they were lively, but they weren't violent. The police department did a great job of, doing the checks at the door with the metal detectors and things such as this. They were kids. It was loud. It was noisy. It was sold out. But for the most, I don't know what happened outside the arena, but inside the arena where I worked at, I was on the third level, and we didn't have any major problems, any major concerns. So they're well behaved. We have another night tonight. Hopefully we have the same resolve. I want to give a shout out to Captain Ernie Demmer and Major Roberts, who spearheaded the operation at the arena. I mean, they're consummate professionals, and Major Robinson is an incredible young man. He has a very bright future on the police department.
So let's stay on that for a moment. This entertainer has a reputation for having such, I'm not sure I can call it good, but such music that attracts thousands and thousands and thousands. And the concerts have been known to be quite lively for those who are into his music. And along the way, there have been incidents of violence all the way to the point that some cities have canceled the concerts.
Right.
In our case, if I understand correctly, those conversations were had as they monitored what happened in Atlanta, someplace in the Midwest, and elsewhere. But the decision was to proceed. But the decision was really the concert goers, the host of the concerts, not the city of New Orleans, the police of New Orleans. And so police, to make sure that it was as secure as possible, was scheduled to have like 400 officers out. And then, of course, the concert promoter and the folks who own the Caesars Superdome wanted to make sure that things were safe, so they ramped up as well. Did it seem like an overload or enough?
Well, it's always better to have and not need than need and not have. I'm not privy to some of the inner workings of the police department because I'm not the chief anymore, so I wasn't able to look at the operational orders. But you want to utilize your resources to their optimal efficiency at all times, but sometimes you have to do scenarios of the worst case scenario and what would you do and where would you allocate the manpower. So it was one of those situations where they had so much violence attributed to this tour that, the superintendent of police and the ranking members of the police department put together a plan that was very, very manpower intensive to take every type of scenario into consideration, how the response would be, and they did their due diligence. And as a result, it went very smoothly. We live in a society that loves to Monday morning quarterback. Especially for law enforcement people. So I always tell people all the time, don't if you haven't been in that arena, don't try to second guess people who've been doing it their whole life. And nobody's perfect, but you want to just do the best you can do. And as a result, it was a pretty safe environment.
Well, let's hope that night 2 goes just as well. We've got a caller. Good morning, Reverend Wallace. Good morning. Good morning. How are you, sir?
And to my scramble buddy, Brother Compass.
How you doing, sir?
Chief, and to the listening audience, good morning. I want to say,
Reverend Wallace, there's background noise, so maybe move away from the radio or something.
Can you hear me now?
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's better. Thank you.
I just think it was an overkill. I think, JP, he fictional character, Captain America. I think it's just an overkill on the city behalf. Even the president pardoned this young man. And for us to have an opportunity, if anything, to reach young African American, we stigmatize them with this type of foolishness to seem like a bunch of barbarians and animals were going to be at the concert. Certainly, there are elements of people that go to these concerts that create problems after the concert. I don't attribute it to the young boy. Maybe they listen to the music and drink the wrong stuff before they go there. But it happens in all kind of places. For New Orleans to put out that much resources, FBI and all this kind of stuff around Parker Street, it just was sad to see that the police department and the high upper rank of the police department would take such measures to use every resource that they have, and God knows what else they use from other agencies to come over and to assist them in that area. It was a waste of time. I praise God that nothing happened at the concert. The kids went there. But I think it was a sad thing that the city should have got together with that man, people, and sat down and said, look, there's a stigma with your concerts. We want you here. to come. You're bringing resources to the city. You're renting the arena. You're putting this in. I mean, it could happen with Master P concerts. I mean, I couldn't understand why it had to be so much of a blowout. And I think JP, he's my friend, but I think he blew it out of proportion. And this was a time, if you could have educated young people on crime, we can get them to snitch, we can get them to call Crime Stoppers, but when concerts come like this year, we stigmatize them as being violent, heinous animals that can't be controlled. I thought it was a smack in the face of the parents that send their kids to these concerts. All these kids are not violent, and a lot of them didn't go there. And his genre maybe not be what I like. I like rap music. I mean, I don't understand it, but he has a right to sing and do what he do. I mean, it is just music. I mean, James Brown said, "I'm black and I'm proud." I mean, we understand people have different ways of expressing their views of a society they live in. So, I mean, his view might not be my view, but I'm listening to what he's saying. And I thought it was wrong for the city to take that much emphasis on a young man that the president of the United States pardoned for what he was in there for, guns or whatever. This president pardoned him. And the city of New Orleans stigmatized him like he's a worse Klansman or a worse terrorist that's coming to the city. I thought it was disgusting. And our black leaders didn't do better than what they're doing.
So you think that it would have been okay for the police department to have, say, 100 or 150 officers there?
Yeah. They could have had 1,000 there. Whatever's going to happen is going to happen. You can't prevent people that set in their heart doing violence. They're going to do violence. It's just the society we live in. I mean, it's just some things that you can't control. You can't control people's heart and decisions. Decisions have choices, choices have consequences. So, but to do it the way they did it, to make the city seem like this young man was coming here to bring nothing but violence to the city, it leaves a bad taste in the mouth of the young people to see that they're not really accepted in the city. And it was bad. It was bad. I thought it was bad.
All right, let me respond to that first, Reverend Wiles. I understand your opinion, but when you say that, you can't stop anything, well, that's to a certain extent. But as a police organization, you have three things that have to happen for a crime to take place. You have to have a motivated offender, you have to have a victim, and an absence of guardianship. Well, you're going to have potential victims because people are coming, so you can't really eliminate that element. Now, when you look at the motivated offender, when you put a large contingency of police officers in view, basically that's the guardianship. So basically you're looking at it from that perspective, where you're going to take the individual officers, you're going to break the area down to zone sector concept. You're going to put an adequate amount of officers in each zone and sector, and you're going to try to deter individuals who are trying to commit nefarious acts. As a police department, that's your responsibility to stop crime, to be proactive. It is much better to stop a crime from happening than to deal with a crime while it's in progress. Then, if you do, like you said, someone is hell-bent on committing a crime, no matter how many policemen they have out there, then you have to have a trained police department like we have to be able to react. So that's why you had specialized officers as it relates to SWAT, FBI, and these are the same type of people that's in place for the Saints games. It's just not advertised. For major concerts, it's just not advertised, but you have those type of contingencies and those type of redundancies in place to keep the city safe. Unfortunately,
Chief, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and
I don't have a problem with the security. I have a problem with how the city emphasized that this young man was the poster boy for the worst thing that's going to happen to the city, to come here with a concert. The many kids that could go to this concert are either potentially criminals or going to be criminals or going to do something. It just painted a broad brush of black. A bunch of African-American kids get together, and the stigma on them is that violence is going to be perpetuated through that. And it happens at Southern. It happened at LSU. It happened at country and western concerts. We just don't get the publicity and hear all that stuff. But this is, I thought it was just wrong for the city to go overboard with it like the way they went. That's all I'm saying. To perpetuate that this was the worst thing that we could have coming to the city and make it seem the man is an entertainer. I mean, I don't like some of the stuff he say, and I don't like some of the stuff the president say. I don't like some of the stuff the councilman say. I didn't think J.P. Ferrer was right what he said. But, he's Captain America, and he could do that. So, but this is the thing. We can never reach our young African-American people when we're sending that type of pitch out with them and giving that type of impression that they cannot get together without doing this type of violence. So that's all I have to say. I thought it was wrong.
Okay. Well, just to clarify, President Trump did issue a pardon for NBA YoungBoy, aka his real name, Kentrell Golden, and that pardon was for a sentence that a federal judge in Utah placed on him because he's a convicted felon and you're not supposed to have guns. And he was caught with guns, and he and his lawyer worked out an agreement that resolved the state of Utah charges and the federal charges against him. And the agreement was that he would serve a 23-month sentence, have 5 years of probation, and $200,000 fine. So with Trump's action back in the spring, he was released to home confinement for a period of time and then free to go about his business as a man, as a father, as an artist, as an entertainer, and that's what's happened. But I think we have to acknowledge what's happened at some of the concerts.
Right.
I think, to your point, we can look at the number of his concerts and see that this isn't happening at all of the concerts, but violence has happened at some. And so I think New Orleans just wanted to be sure that as much as possible there was prevention,
right,
rather than have a situation and say how well we responded.
And I understand that, but for the future, how can we get on a level to have dialogue to prevent these things, to show the young folks that we don't want them to go this way? I mean, to just go the way they went with the way this thing went. I mean, I heard the New Orleans cities talk about the organization. I thought it could be done a little bit better. That's just what I'm saying. But the president is a convicted felon too. So two birds, match the feather. I mean, he convicted, president convicted. So what the hell? We all convicted in some way. You understand?
I hear you.
God bless you all this morning. Thank you so much for and I'm gonna catch you on Scramble one of these days.
Yes, sir.
Thanks.
All right.
Thanks, Reverend Wallace. Thank you for your call. I'll add one more thing. When something like this happens, and there isn't an incident, it's out of way more than an ounce of precaution.
Right.
But it does cost money.
Right.
So as we face this deficit of $160 million, we have to keep in mind what the primary role of the police department is really, correct me if I'm wrong, it's not to solve crimes.
No.
It is to prevent and have public safety.
Exactly.
And so there's a lot that goes into that prevention and public safety part. And I think I'm not a law enforcement professional, but obviously the decision was that we need about 400 plus other security to be in the best position.
Yeah, you want to always err on the side of safety. And you know, I'm not in Councilman J.P. Morrell's head, but I can just think he was looking at it from a fiscal standpoint, being fiscally responsible, because he made a statement that the individuals who were playing were not going to bring enough income for the city to recoup the money they were expending for the police security. You know, and that's his responsibility as a politician to look at it from a fiscal standpoint. I don't think he was trying to disparage the young man and disrespect him to a certain extent, like some people think he was. He was just stating facts that there was problems in the other areas and other cities, and we got to look at it from a fiscal standpoint. But the decision was made to have the concert, and so if you have the concert, then I always tell people I do bodyguard work on the side, and sometimes the guys I use are expensive, and when I make the presentation, they say it's kind of high. So I don't put a value on a human life. If you're going to have a situation that's kind of dangerous and you're going to need people that's the best of the best, you're going to have to pay for that, and when you pay for that, you got to get the best. And as a result, the plan worked. Nothing happened of note that I know of so far. So, hopefully we have the same result tonight.
Wonderful. Well, we're going to go to break, and coming up in the show, we'll have Melanie Richardson, who's the Training Grounds Executive Director. She's going to be talking to us about early parenthood assistance and for young adults. This is something that I know a number of you are going to be interested in, especially because some of their activities are free. So I know you like that word. We'll hear from Melanie Richardson coming up the next hour. Meanwhile, we're going to go to break. And how about those Saints? Who that? Let's talk about that.
Who what?
Who what?
Who what?
We'll talk about that after the break. You're listening to WBOK 1230 a.m. What New Orleans is talking about all day long.
Good morning and happy Monday. I'm Morgan Lentis with WDSU News, and here's a look at today's headlines. If you plan on attending tonight's NBA Youngboy concert, expect enhanced security measures across the Crescent City. The NOPD has brought in 400 additional officers to patrol around the Smoothie King Center, the CBD, and the French Quarter amid safety concerns. Those safety concerns have forced other major cities like Atlanta, Chicago, and Detroit to all cancel the rapper's concerts in recent weeks. Officials say there will be no bags allowed inside the Smoothie King Center. You can bring what fits in your pocket, like a phone or your keys. Then you might notice extra officers patrolling around Lakeside Shopping Center today after a prank caused panic yesterday. The Jefferson Parish Sheriff's Office got a call about an armed suspect at the mall. They say after a thorough search, they found no gunmen or victims. Investigators say they do believe that call was a